Hey y'all, Jesse here with a interesting build today. We have an Allied Echo frame with a bunch of Bontrager parts, some other cool bits. This is gonna be fun to figure this one out. Yeah, this is my new road bike. Kind of transitioning away from running really small tires because I'm not that good of a road cyclist. And so I'm just gonna rock these 40 mil tires at all times. I always find myself in these gravel situations even whenever I go on road rides. So having just a more endurance road bike, which when the Allied Echo is in its gravel mode, it's more of an endurance road bike. So I think that's gonna work out really well. We'll see, it might suck, hopefully it doesn't. Went with blue on this one, made here in, not in Indiana, but in Arkansas. I'm a sucker for that kind of like made in the USA manufacturing. Looks like they did a good job. Let's see what we got in the box. Computer mount, we'll need that. Seat post clamp, let's get that on here. Uses a wedge clamp. And I have a Bontrager RSL seat post to throw in this thing. And carbon paste. I don't know if I've ever owned a bike with a wedge style seat post like this. I've worked on a lot of them. Let's drop that in. Looks like a 4. That's fine for now. The bike, it looks really stunning, and it's because of the no-show cable routing that it has, which is gonna be really interesting to build. So I'm trying to think of where the best way to start this build off, and honestly, I think it's the rear brake, so I'm gonna try to run it from the back. Let's find the rear brake. Got some SRAM red E-tap, 12-speed E-tap here. Whoa! I don't know why they send you these. So it looks like Allied provided rear flat mount bolts. So I'm gonna go ahead and use theirs because I'm guessing it sent them for a reason. I'd prefer it if they were the same head on the bolt. So let's see if SRAM made one that the SRAM bolts are the same. It's kind of close. Let's see how it looks in the frame. No, see, okay, I'm gonna use their bolts just because I think that's not enough. We're gonna be building this in the gravel mode because that's the mode I want to use it in. So I'm just gonna leave it in that mode to start out with. One of the nicest features of these new SRAM brake levers is that you can connect the hose from either end very easily. So we have the same hose connection here as we do there, and that means that we can run the cable through the frame without it being annoying. So I'm gonna go ahead and take this off really quick. I know in the past couple of videos I've said that I don't want to bleed it, but I think this one we're gonna end up bleeding it just from the sheer internal routingness that it needs to make this work. There we go, it's a 10. Cool. And now let's see if we can get this through the frame. So it just slides in right here. Out the top right there. There we go. So now pull this through. I'm just gonna kind of give this a little bit of a knot there just to keep it together. Cool, so that wasn't too hard. Now that we've gotten here, I'm starting to think about the fork on this because we probably need to figure out the height of the fork, which is really challenging to do because I have this unique stem here that I've never messed with before. Where does the hose go? Okay, so the hose runs into the fork here and out where it would. Let's just throw it together. Let's get the headset and see what it looks like. All right, so it comes with a Chris King headset, which is about as premium as you can get, and looks like it does need this race. I don't know why they would send it otherwise. Really fun to just whack mountain bike parts together, but with road and gravel stuff like carbon forks like this, I at least try to be a little bit more delicate. Really, okay, so not only does the front brake hose go through the fork, so does the rear brake hose. So that's presenting another challenge. And actually, in this situation, I'm gonna throw this back into the thing because we have to. All right, so we are gonna put the headset on. I don't want to gonna go on. It's stuck on that like little sticker that they put on it in manufacturing. It's cool. I'm sure like people who have built this bike before like have a good plan on how to do it, but we're not those people. This is our first try. Hopefully it goes okay. So we have to make a decision about the steer tube length before we do anything else, which is very different from most bike builds. So now we're gonna do some math and figure out what we wanna do to the frame. I'm inclined just to go with one spacer here, but I'm gonna consult my favorite website, which is Geometry Geeks, and we're gonna see what we need to do here compared to my last road bike. So the stack is 10 millimeters more than my Amanda and 20 millimeters less than my Checkpoint. So So I think what we're gonna do here is split the difference and go with 20. So I'm gonna use the 20 millimeter spacer, and then that way we can be on the safe side. If I do need to cut it again, I can. Something like that. On one hand, I can cut the steer tube to be more aggressive than the Checkpoint, or I can cut it to be about the same. And my initial thought is to cut it to be a little bit more aggressive than the Checkpoint. I'm gonna go with the 20 mil spacer stack, and then that way I can always change it. But I'm pretty sure that it's gonna be the right height, just based off of doing a little bit of thought into it instead of just randomly going with something. Oh, this is the expander plug, okay. All right, so now that we've cut this to what I hope is the right size, before we run any cables through it, let's see if this works. That's one way. We won't route any of the cables until we know for sure. All right, that looks pretty reasonable to me. Dang, what size Allen key is this? I feel like an idiot right now. There we go, now I understand. I was just being too nice to it. There's threads on the inside of the stem, and it's just spinning in place because the stem bolt isn't tight. I'm gonna go ahead and say that that looks like an appropriate setup. Okay, so now we gotta take it all back off, and now we gotta route all the hoses through it, which is another whole thing. So back to what we originally started doing. Let's get this hose back up at the front of the bike. Now it's got to go in the fork. The front one should be easy because the front one we can just throw into it. But let's get this through. So do you see that? It goes through there. Let's get some grease in there. Did I put the bearing in upside down? No, we're good. Okay. All right, so now we got the hose where it should be. All in the name
aesthetic.
I'm not gonna call it a mistake, but I am gonna have to recut the fork. You wanna cut this fork to where the expander plug sits flush with the stem because it kind of has to. And the way I had it cut, the expander plug just isn't sitting low enough in it. You know, it might have been an accident, but I would say I was learning how this bike works. This is my bike, so no stress at all. We're just gonna lower it a little bit more than I initially thought, which I probably would have ended up doing anyway, so no harm, no foul. But yeah. Definitely learning on the fly here. Oh no, why did I take it apart? I have to measure it still. All right, so we're gonna redo the score mark, and this time I'm gonna cut. What happened is I cut below the score mark, which is what you would normally do, and I would say that was just out of habit. On this cut, we wanna cut right on the score mark, so like no, that way it sits super flush with the stem. Don't have to cut that much more off, just a little bit. I'm confident we got it right that time. At least I'm getting good at it. I want to show everybody how this preload adjustment works. You see how it threads out? So I'm going to start with it all the way in. Now we're in business there. Now this piece will actually work. Almost need the big wrench to make this work. Yeah. I feel like we finally made some progress here. Let's get the front brake in the bike, and then we'll be kind of almost done. There we go. So now we have two hoses where they should be. Everything's going all right. Go ahead and bolt that one down. So what you're seeing here is the flip chip, and if you want to put it in the road mode, you just flip it into road mode. We're not going to do that today, but in the future I'll definitely try that out too. There we go. I'm gonna put the rear brake on too, just so we know how much hose we're messing with. Because we get to do another fishing adventure. Okay, so I got this black ink handlebar. If anybody knows where this company comes from, let me know, because I've been kind of trying to figure it out. But the reason I got this handlebar is because it has a hole in the clamp to run the hose. And that's what we're gonna do, is run some more hoses. So that's the rear. See how easy this is. Throw it in there. That's pretty easy. I honestly thought that was gonna be more annoying than it was. Well, there you go. So we're starting to make some progress now. So I got the handlebar almost installed. Let's see how we did. This, the way that it is. There we go. Just needed to get it on there. I'm gonna go ahead and get one of these top bolts in there so it stays put. Cool. That feels pretty good. Still have decent weight. So once you put that together, you can still move it, which is a big deal. So we do have to, let's see how much. I always like to try to see how much I can throw back into the frame. In this instance, not a whole lot. So we want to cut this pretty much on where we would want it. I mean, it'll move a little bit, but not a ton. On the front brake, we don't need to cut a whole lot off. Honestly, let's throw the wheels in it and just be sure. Go ahead and put the cassette on the wheel. Going with a SRAM Red 10 to 33 cassette here on my Trek Aeolus RSL 37V wheel set. Amazing wheel set from, or it's a Bontrager wheel set, but amazing wheel set. I really think they do an amazing job with it. DT 180 hub. Now I want to throw the wheels in the bike so that we can put the handlebar in the right place so that I can make really good cuts on the hoses. We already learned today to be really careful about what you're cutting. My head all backwards. You gotta tighten the stem down and then adjust the preload. I wanted to highlight this piece of awesomeness. So this is the Allied Echo specific computer mount. And then the other half of it bolts on right there. There we go. And then I usually install the nuts on these without mounting it to the handlebar just because it gives you more room to work. I really like the design of these new Force and Red levers though, where it makes it really easy to just decide how you want to build your bike instead of build it based on the one way that it used to go. And really route the cables from the lever. From the brake caliper, so you had to always route it from the levers, which if we had to do that on this build would have been really hard. I don't even know if it would have been possible. Cool. Probably would have been a little bit easier if I would have done that on the bike stand. What do you think? I'd argue the rear works. The front for sure needs blood. I'm really shocked at the rear works, to be honest with you. I thought that one for sure was gonna need to be blood. Let's install the crank. Get a chain on this thing. BB Infinite. Got my SRAM Red crank here. Went with a 48 tooth chainring, running a 1x on this bike, and woo. Hey. Let me get the torque wrench really quick. I feel like we're getting somewhere. We'll get a better shot of that. Sounds like one of the bearings needs some grease in there. I'm not gonna mess with it right now, but don't worry, I'll mess with it. I can hear the bearing get a little bit off. I'd say that's pretty good. So I usually run the enduro style pedals on road bikes because it kind of gives you a bigger platform to ride on. And I was worried it would look stupid, but I actually kind of like the way it looks. So I'm gonna hold on to these for another day. Let's get the derailleur on this thing. Got the chain. It's a full SRAM red build, so nothing mismatched here. And so I asked a roadie friend of mine what a good 1x gear ratio would be, and he was like 10 to 33 with a 48 tooth front chainring. And I was like, wow, that's pretty aggressive. And the more I've thought about it, the more I agree with him. If I need to change it, it's not too hard to change, but I seriously think that's gonna be good. I was worried about that. Hopefully it works. We're just gonna slap it together, I guess. I think because it's a 1x, this shouldn't actually be a big deal. Well, so what I'm learning here is that this chainring is not compatible with a flat top chain. Yeah. Well, yeah, it just wants to throw it. I have a way around this. Because I'm pretty sure it'll work just fine. I know it'll work on the chainring. I'm just curious how it's going to interact with that one link that's flat. Since it's a flat top derailleur, I'm hoping it works. If it doesn't work, we're done for the night, which sucks, but sometimes can't win them all. I'd say that's working just fine for me. Let's test shifting out. Sweet, so I'd definitely argue that that works probably better than it should. I'm kind of surprised, to be completely honest with you. I was thinking we were gonna have to call it for the night. I didn't realize how dirty this bar tape was. I might change this out if I can't get it cleaned up. I knew there was a good reason to keep that bar tape. It's just such a striking bike with how just no cables at all. It looks unlike any other bike. I'm impressed right now. 17.35 pounds, 7.87 kilo. We're in America though. That's with pedals and not lightweight ones. One bottle cage. I couldn't find the matching bottle cage. This is actually the original run of wolf tooth titanium cages, the King Cage made ones, and I have a matching one that I gotta find. This is with gravel tires. I mean, they're not heavy gravel tires by any means, but I'm gonna be running these Maxxis Velocita 700 by 40. I just think that I like having big tires on the road, so that's just how it's gonna be. But yeah, 17.3, that's way lighter than I even, that's a lot lighter than I thought it would be. Heavier than my Amonda was, but I expected that 100%. So I'm not gonna lie, that was a hard build. Unexpected things happened, a lot of things we had to figure out. I think it was worth it. I just went and rode the bike. It feels amazing. I'm excited to ride it this week at the group ride, and for the foreseeable future, this is going to be my like kind of do it all road bike. The reason I went with this Echo is because whenever I go on road rides, I go exploring, and I always find myself on gravel anyway. So now I have a bike that is able to do my wild exploring rides where I don't really know what I'm getting into. Now that it's finished, I feel good about it. Seriously, that was a hard fought build. Having all the compatibility issues that ended up being solvable, which is awesome. Running the GX chain with the SRAM Red, that's probably never been done before. Although I would probably keep maybe I'll get an XO chain for it. I really like the silver accents on this build. I think it kind of matches the whole aesthetic, so I don't feel like I need to change it immediately. I'll do a review of this bike in the future too, so I'll have a lot more to say then. But yeah, if you guys like this build, let me know. We can build y'all whatever you're into. I'll have links below to all of our social media accounts, as well as our shop's website where you can order whatever we got in stock from. Feel free, we can ship it to you. Just let us know what you want us to do. But yeah, Allied Echo, really excited to ride this one. Thanks for checking it out.